Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday, so I'm going to be picking a CD out of my collection and making a poster out of it. The style I'm going to be going with today is Brutalism. I've actually done a couple of posters over the years, but I've never done one for this channel, and I haven't done one in a long time. Brutalism has a combination of elements from different design styles, but kind of the whole point of it is really just to kind of make it look a little bit ugly, kind of, but at the same time, nice and legible. All right, before we get started, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. Now let's head over to the randomizer. All right, I've got my CD collection copied and pasted into here, so now let's pick a winner. Patina. That's amazing, actually. I was actually hoping that this would be the one that won today. This is the newest album from Tallies. It came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic. So let me go grab that real quick. All right, so here's the album right here, Patina by the band Tallies. They are a dream pop band, very inspired by the Sundays and Cocteau Twins. Really, really good stuff. And this is a fantastic album. It came out within the past couple of weeks. So really good stuff from start to finish. Fantastic album. Highly recommended if you're a fan of shoegaze or dream pop music. And if you're not a fan of shoegaze and dream pop music, what are you even doing here? So anyway, so definitely give this a listen. And I think that this is going to work really well for doing a Brutalist poster. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. All right, so I've dropped this into my Illustrator document. This is a good representation of kind of what we're going to be going for. There's a lot of different ways that you can do Brutalism, though. And let me just kind of show you. If you go into Google right here, let me hit X on this one, and then you can see, like, there's different ways to do it. Obviously, there's like the nice large typography and just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like design that hits you in the face, and then there's a skeuomorphic approach to it where people kind of use like photos and things like that. I think that what I'm going to do is I will head over to Unsplash. This is one of my favorite free stock photo sites, and let's just type in Patina and see what comes up. And we could probably even use this for a background. So this is something that I'll probably explore. This is nice right here. I like that. And it's kind of a callback to their first album. However, with this album cover here being a little bit more on the teal side, I may do something like that. But you could easily, change the colors. So anyway, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and go to Illustrator, and let's go ahead and get started. As far as laying out the typography. So we need something that is really nice and thick and heavy. So probably gonna do maybe like a grotesque or something like that, but it needs to be even heavier than that. So let's filter our sans serifs right here, and then that's pretty cool, but I'm not a fan of the italics. I think that Acumen goes pretty thick. There we go. Okay, that's good. So Acumen Pro is a really, really good font for something like this if you're wanting to do Brutalism. So anyway, so this is kind of what I'm going to be going for, like kind of this type of vein right here. So I'm going to just go ahead and work, and whenever I feel the need to talk, I'll come back and I'll talk. So for a poster like this, it's perfectly fine to, kind of distort the text around a little bit. So what I did was instead of making sure that I keep the proportions correct with all of the different letters in the typography, what I did was I just grabbed everything right here, made it all the same exact width, regardless of the shape of the characters right here, and then made it to where I perfectly fit it right here with a 1/2 inch margin around each side. So it's perfectly contained within that spot. So totally fine to do something like that. You can distort the text on a Brutalist poster. All right, so I think that I'm pretty happy with the way that this is going right here. What I did was I just kind of selectively, just every other, well, not selectively, but every other letter I highlighted right here. So like you've got a solid and then a stroke and a solid, and so on and so forth. So anyway, so I think what I'm going to do here is let's go ahead and grab everything and let's bring it into Photoshop. And I'd like to look at possibly applying some patina effects to it and just kind of distressing it that way. So I've got it pasted here in Photoshop, and I wasn't intending to leave this border around it, but I actually do like the way that that looks. So I think I'm just going to keep it. Oops, didn't mean to do that. All right, let's go here and add a solid background color of this same white right here. That way any of the effects that we add on top of it will show in that margin as well. And I think what I'll do here is I will make sure that our margins are nice and even. We'll just kind of take it down by 1 inch. There we go. So there we go. Now we got a perfect 1/4 inch margin, so 1/2 inch total around the entire thing. Okay, so let's take a look at some effects here. I actually do like this one. But I think this one is a little bit better for what we're actually going for. This will probably give us, I hope there's a nice large quality. Yeah, it is. Okay. Nice large quality of that one right there. That's going to give us more of a kind of more of a destroyed type of texture that I'm going for. Oops. Meant to paste. There we go. And let's do this. All right, so this is kind of a trick that I learned a long time ago with a different tutorial that I was doing. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to select different color ranges, and then we're going to actually use those as selections to create new layers, and that'll actually give us a really nice effect here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Select Color Range, go to Highlights, and hit Enter, and then we're going to click on our artwork and do Command J, and that's going to be our highlights. And we're going to do the same thing for midtones and shadows. And you'll see what kind of effect this brings us in just a second here. All right, so now I'm just going to hide the top layer right here and hide the Vector Smart Object layer. And as you can see, we've got this right here. Like we've got our midtones and shadows and our highlights. I typically hide the highlights, but it also depends on exactly what you're doing. So for a situation like this, I may go in here and just kind of darken this right here. And we'll see what we can do in terms of preserving as much detail as possible. So this actually is a pretty darn destroyed type of effect that we're getting from this image here. So I think that I might try a different one that isn't going to destroy the art so much. Okay, so now that I'm looking at this, and especially now that I turned off each one of these layers, just turning off one of these layers destroys all of the legibility here. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave the 3 of these layers on here, and then maybe try a combination of blending modes to see what we can do. All right, so I ended up going with, for the highlights, went with pen light, midtones I went with hard light, and shadows I went with vivid light. And the reason I did that is because the combination of everything makes it to where the effects and everything and all the edges really blend together nicely, and it still keeps all of the text on the poster nice and legible. So I think what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and get rid of this layer. Let's bring this one back. I'd like to see about possibly using it as maybe like a texture on top or something like that. Hopefully it doesn't interfere too much with everything below, but we can also lower the opacity and try a couple of different things as well. So I think that soft light is probably going to be the best bet with this, and if I go with soft light, I'll probably drop it down a little bit. Divide is looking pretty cool, but it's really blowing out all those colors. So luminosity is a really cool blending mode that I really don't use that often, but it's just really cool. I just wanted to give it a shout out. All right, soft light is going to be the winner, I think, and let's just kind of maybe take it down to about maybe 35%, something like that. That way it's not too strong. I think 30% is good. Okay, and then what we'll do is just to kind of help blend in things a little bit better, let's go ahead and add our grain overlay to it. And I think that I will actually apply a slight vignette on this, so we'll just kind of take a look. So we'll do 50 on the grain, 25 on the size and roughness, and then maybe a -10 on the vignette. And let's go all the way in just so we can see exactly what it looks like when it's nice and zoomed in. And then zoom out. I'll just kind of show you how it looks. So it's very slight, but it is going to help. It's going to help tremendously to bring everything together here. So when we went in and kind of did these things right here, we were kind of left with these jagged edges right here, just like, just kind of going from the highlights into the midtones. So I think what we can do there is we can try adding a Gaussian blur to it, and it looks like that's probably going to accentuate those a little bit more, although it is actually giving us a little bit more of the distressed effect that I'm looking for, and it's also blurring that, which is a really very interesting balance there. 20 is definitely too much, but I do like that, like how you've got like the blur right here on this one, but then it's also really sharp on this one. So I may actually go in and do a balance on that where I do like a sharpen on the midtones, and then maybe a Gaussian blur on the highlights, or maybe we'll try it reversed. I don't know, I just kind of like the effect that it's giving. And I think that so far it's probably going to be best to do it on the highlights, but let's see what it looks like on the shadows. Okay. It's definitely looking best on highlights. So let's do that. Gaussian blur, and we'll do a 10 on the highlights. That is really cool, actually. But let's make sure that it's still legible. Okay, it is. And then for the midtones and shadows, maybe we'll go in and do like some extreme sharpening or something like that. Keep in mind, this is Brutalism, so you can kind of get away with stuff like this. And then for shadows, I'll probably go in and just do like a nice soft Gaussian blur, probably like a 3 pixel or a 5 pixel or something like that. All right, that's looking good. And for the highlights, I may do like a box blur just to kind of help soften those edges a little bit. All right, so I think that is actually really, really cool. Of course, the downside of this is that I no longer have my Vector Smart object, so I can't go in and make any kind of changes to it and then have it update automatically in Photoshop. But it still is really cool, and it actually has the effect of like, it looks like it looks like the poster kind of got rained on. So that's actually really cool. I do like that. Although I'm not a big fan of the way that it turned out right here. It is extra blurry down here. I wish I had looked down there at the bottom. But overall, I think it's a really cool design. So here it is. Here's my Brutalist poster design. I haven't done one of these for the channel actually at all. And I haven't done one in years. So I might play around with it and just maybe this one I may play around with the design style itself and just kind of see what more I can do with it. But I'd definitely like to experiment more with the typography and kind of distorting it a little bit extra and everything. But here it is. Let me know what you think of it. I hope you learned something in Illustrator or Photoshop. If you did, please let me know what that was down in the comments. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching me make that poster today. It was fun, and I'm definitely going to try a little bit more Brutalism design. That was a really cool design style to work with. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. Thanks a lot for all you recent subscribers, all of you subscribers too, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.